All right, we're going live a little early tonight. It's like 7:15 my time, so about 45 minutes early. It'll be worthwhile. We may wrap up early too, though. If people roll in pretty normal fashion, then maybe we'll also wrap up early. I can get to bed a little bit earlier than 11:30 or whenever I tend to go to bed. If you're watching the VOD, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's pretty cool to see that we get so much engagement on the VODs, both on Twitch and on YouTube. That's super cool. On that note, we've got, I think we just hit 7,000 people on the mailing list, 10,000 people in the Discord. I don't think we even have yeah, we've got 4,700 subscribers on the channel. And the channel is actually a really cool thing for us to sort of watch. I think the amount that you guys interact with the VODs with regards to like comments and the little thumbs up and all that cool stuff that people typically ask you to do, you guys are really good about that, which is awesome. And I think, you know, in theory that should help us continue to be discovered by people in out there in YouTube land. So YouTube's a good place to have people find you, I guess. What's up, Primus? Hey, John. What's up, Sneaky Russian? Mail's here. Thank you for the follow. I was just mentioning mailing list and you appeared. Let me know how the audio levels are. Everything just got completely reset on my end. So let me know if the background music is too loud. Yeah, mail's here. I just mentioned we just hit 7,000 people on the mailing list. So 7,000 people on the mailing list, 10,000 people on Discord. Naturally, those don't overlap 100%. But we're only at 4,700 people, almost 4,800 people on YouTube subscribers. So that would be cool. Be cool to up those numbers. And then I think we've got something like 15,000 registered accounts. But there's also a certain amount of like people have multiple accounts under different email addresses sometimes because they had issues with the account and all that good stuff. But yeah, so not bad for being this far out still. But yeah, all of this is to say subscribe on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. All right. Meals here said now it's a good level, maybe half your volume or less. Tight. Okay. What's up, Darius? Justin Beard, buddy, what's going on? What's up, Hindo? Voxen87, thank you for the follow. Dev Heidel. I'm assuming you pronounce it the way we would over here in Germany. Heidel. Thank you for the follow. Boxen87 says, hey, been watching your progress and love your team's work. Doing what I hope to do in the future. Keep it up. Right on. Are you going to school for it? Are you currently doing something else and considering a career change? Tell me about yourself. What are you and your caretaker going to do today, Justin? You got appointments or something? Hey, Chinny D. Yeah, time is flying this year. It's November, basically. Just housework? Right on, Justin Beard. Hey, Defiant Possum. I debated restarting my machine before the stream. I didn't. Hopefully that was not the wrong move. Justin said, I think at this point, if I had an appointment, I'd probably say no. It's been nothing but craziness on that end. Yeah, it sounds like you've had a lot going on, dude. Voxen replied with, currently working in tech, but mainly working within frameworks. Game dev work has been something I hope to jump into, but do not know where to begin. I mean, there's so many different angles. The cool thing is, if you're working in tech and you're interested in game development, if you're not doing it already, you can absolutely just start working on some stuff on the side. It's a great way to do it. Matter of fact, let me bring up, on that note, one of our community members earlier in the year was talking to me a little bit about game development and had some project stuff that he was working on, and let me grab the link really fast. And so we wound up just like having a chat one day, and he was running me through some of his small projects he'd worked on for like game jams and stuff. And we talked about one of them was like, why don't you just take this one? Seems really cool. Why don't you take that one further? And he did. Now it's on Steam, and let me grab it really quick. Let me just go to our DMs. Hey, Dark Inside, what's up, buddy? So Curly Goblin now has this up, and again, someone just doing some stuff on the side, learning game development, and now he's got a game that's part of they're doing a thing. They're doing like a sort of an indie, I forget what it's called, Next Fest. Yeah. So it got some good exposure there. It's super cool looking. And, you know, I think not even a year ago, this was just more of an idea than anything, and he's just been hammering on it. So it's super cool. It's really cool to see that. But I recommend, there's so many resources available to people these days. If you're interested in the actual development part of it, like the creation of game, not just getting into game development, there's so many resources available with the various engines that are out there. You can just grab and start fucking with stuff. It's pretty cool. Yep. The main Stark said, never been a better time to make a game. So many tools and resources out there. And you don't even have to feel obligated to make a full game. Just make a little something and mess with it. Now, if you're interested in game development as like in the broader sense, like a lifestyle, like I don't have enough pain in my life, so I want to get into game development, or you think, hey, it would just be satisfying to know this is the type of product that I'm spending my time on, then, you know, that's a different topic. It's interesting. It's definitely, I won't knock it. It's been paying my bills for 20 plus years, so I won't knock it, but I'll definitely be real about it. Hey, Lasava. Dark Inside said just playing some League, was playing Throne and Liberty. Right on. I could have sworn you were in here last week or sometime recently, and something bad had just happened. What was it? If that was the case, hopefully it worked out. Also make small games. So many think they need to be massive. Whatnot, when there are small examples like Slither.io, Wordle, etc. Yeah, especially if you're just trying to get familiar with everything. Don't even think you got to make a full game. Yeah, Dark Inside, that's what it was. As soon as you said it, I thought it had something to do with your grandmother. Grandmother had a stroke, turns out. She also stated for cancer. Yeah, man. Yep. I thought so. That's tough. My next door neighbor, she's 95. Night before last. And she's like an inspiration. Next door neighbor, the landlords live next door, and then the landlord's mother is 95-year-old woman who lives in a small apartment above them. And I see her a lot because she sweeps outside, like our little courtyard and the sidewalk. She sweeps like every day. And yeah, so the other night we hear a bunch of noise. We look outside. The whole street's got fire trucks, an ambulance, and they've got a giant like ladder truck with like the full sort of thing where they can zoom up to the window. Apparently she broke her hip. And it's an old German house, so like getting the backboard and stuff up there just wasn't working. So they got the ladder truck and they took her out the top window and stuff. So hoping everything's okay with her. 95's pretty up there, but man, she's always just zooming around town with her walker and out there sweeping and stuff. A lot of times if I happen to cross paths with her when she's either coming up or down her front stairs with like groceries or walk or whatever, I'll grab them for her. But so now it is my duty every day to go out there and sweep while she is recovering. So let's see. Well, Dark Inside, hoping for the best, as best as it could be for your grandmother and for your family, buddy. Males here says, not to sidetrack combo and related questions, Eminem giving a lot of value towards the auto attack system, similar to EQ field of auto attacking importance. If I understand the question correctly, yes. But you can ask some people if you got more specifics about like the field or whatever. If you're not in our Discord, you can talk to folks there. You can ask people here in terms of the people that have been in the playtest and see like and just kind of see what they think. But yeah, the core of, especially for melee characters, the core of combat, the foundation of combat is auto attack. And you've got abilities, especially situational abilities, but it's not like you're constantly sort of juggling abilities. There's a bit of timing and looking at your cooldowns and wanting not to waste certain cooldowns if you can avoid it, and watching what spells enemies are casting, spells and abilities, and trying to get your interrupts timed properly, stuns. There's some fun kind of oh shit game playmakers, sort of longer cooldown abilities. So we do a couple of things that are fun as well. Like if I'm playing a ranger or an archer, I really like the way that the auto attack feels, because once the enemy transitions out of your melee range, you'll switch over to your ranged, and vice versa. But it's always kind of neat when you range them, they come in, you automatically switch over because it's auto attack for range for those classes. Switch over to your melee, and then if they go to flee, it's kind of cool because even if you're not paying attention, they like turn and run, and then you plink them in the back, then you feel kind of like a champ. So that's been nice so far. But yeah, Nick and Ollie and the crew have been doing a great job with the moment-to-moment combat feel. But you've also got to think, like, we've been working on moment-to-moment combat since before we had character models, right? So people that have followed the project long enough, remember back when the game was nothing but capsules, right? So we basically just wanted to start working on design and tech even before we had any chance of art. Here, I'll find a video and then I'll answer your question, Possum. Let me go back, dig up the golden oldies. Whoa, videos. It takes a minute to load. So maybe while it's loading. Oh, nope, there it is. Where's an old one? Do the blue Tic Tacs exist? Yeah, there's actually one in game. It's kind of a default NPC model, kind of like EverQuest had the Doug. It's I had one pop up in Fallen Pass. I was like, what the shit? And then I just realized I think I had the wrong sex for one of the character models. Let me see, is this an old one? Hey, eating around. There we go. So I mean, we started on just the fundamental tech and design, like back when the game looked like this. Back when I was back when I was the artist on the team. And then we could probably find like a gameplay stream like that. That young fella in the video still had all his hair. Do I really look that much older? Shit, it's only been 4 years. Oh no. What's happened to me? Is it the stress? It's a hat and a beard. I had a beanie on there. Yeah, but look. It's the light. The light is so bright that it makes it look like I don't have hair, but I swear I do. This is real thin. Did I still have a finger back then? I did have my finger. I didn't get my finger chopped off till this year. But yeah, see? So anyways, the golden old days a couple years ago. I'm gonna go back up to Possum's question. Possum asked, Sean, how do you feel you guys are doing with development progression? Based on the roadmap you guys put out earlier in the year, do the main goals still seem aligned with being on time? Yes. They still do. You know, it's one of those things where we've got a few bigger things, but we'll look and see whether or not we think that's going to remain the case, right? A few systems that we want to bring in, a few features that we want to bring in. And we're keeping an eye and just sort of updating as we go on like the environment art side. That's a big one for us. But yeah, we're currently operating off a schedule that is based off of what we presented to you guys and sort of that. I wouldn't even call that a roadmap. I mean, I guess it's kind of a roadmap. But yeah. So far, so good. We'll absolutely let you know if it starts to slip. We're not going to bullshit on that. There's no reason to. When I sit like this, I'm like, I swear it's just my fucking posture. I slapped so much. So, yeah, so far so good, Possum. We may get a little more granular on what we put out, but I mean, if you're happy with the roadmap so far, air quotes roadmap, then cool. I came in here earlier, just showing Bill how I kind of set up props and stuff. So I just, because he's going to be doing a little bit of work in here, so I just added some things and moved some stuff around, and mainly shrank the props that were here, because they were all full size, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to just, they're halflings, give them little halfling size props. 434 days till January 2026. Yeah. Yeah. It honestly, it made a huge difference here. Seeing the full size props here, it definitely stood out. And now seeing them with small props, it just made it a lot cuter in my opinion. And I'm an expert on cute. Needs more food props for halflings. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Maybe I'm going to write that down. Needs more food props for halflings. If you guys stick around, I'm going to bait you a little bit. If you guys stick around, I'll show you something. I'll run through something I don't think I've run through. You might get excited. If I haven't really run, if I'm correct and I haven't run through it yet, then you'll be excited because it would be a reveal. What would halflings eat in the desert? Well, first of all, they would bring stuff with them. And so that would be one thing, because these guys are from out of town. They've set up camp here. They're researching the area. They will also naturally, I mean, there's dates they could be getting. There's a lot of fish around here. There's some farms there to the south, so they could get some food there. And then there's a major metropolis in Night Harbor, so they can get all sorts of stuff. Highlighting the size of the different races really huge. Makes big characters feel big and small characters small. Hard to capture that when it's not size different. Yeah, we've got some pretty dramatic size differences. I mean, I'm a gnome, right? So look at how big I am compared to this halfling here. And now look how big I am relative to we have a little area in Night Harbor where there's a halfling in a Night Harbor guard costume uniform. And there's dwarves and gnomes and stuff there. It's a little shorty area. This ogre's like, what are you guys doing in here? It's so short it knocks my hair off. Zukin's work on the cape and shawl look really good. If this is updated since he was wearing it is. Still working a bit on crouching and stuff, but it's there. It functions now at least. Yeah, I'm so happy. I was telling the guys the other day that I'm just so happy with this gnome in general. Like, anytime I'm in game, I'm running around. Oh, sorry about the frame rate. I'm running around. I just love the way he bounces, and he's just so happy. And then, yeah, look at the cape on him. Cast human illusion. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, it's cool because a lot of people, a lot of people they have their race that they're happiest with, which is nice. That's the whole point, right? That different people are excited. When you've got people that can't pick between the races they want because they like so many of them, or they really love theirs, right? Like the people that love dwarves, blah blah. Or you've got people that are doing it sort of have the same challenges with their class, then that's a good position to be in, I think. So I'm trying to get up here, but it's jumping puzzle. We don't just have like a sit button. Am I on it? Am I on it? Okay. Not crouched. There we go. Shit, man. You guys' running mechanic has a great feel. Thanks, Possum. Yeah, it's nice. It's stuff's coming along. So to your earlier question, Possum, that's actually something that is probably the thing that's most on my mind at the moment. Like our schedule and whether or not we're going to hit the roadmap, the timetable that we set for ourselves is the thing that occupies most of my thinking for the time being. And so that's something we've just been talking to the team about more and more, and really just been kind of pushing on as a theme. It's funny. I was talking to Bill earlier in a design discussion, and I kind of went off on a little bit of not a rant, but like I was talking about this topic a bit, and it's something that he reminded me afterwards, like, hey, that might be a fun one to talk about on stream. So yeah, I'm going to get back to this in a minute, actually, because I do think it's a big topic. And I'm glad you asked the question. But it's a pretty important one because it's something that every project contends with, and it's one of those areas where it's absolutely not set in stone, but there's something to be said about the approach that we take to getting to the deadlines that we set. Acceptable 3453 says, what's the one feature you love in games but don't think would fit into M&M? I mean, I really love action-based combat. I really love combat that is very visceral and quick and sort of superheroic and stuff. I loved Overwatch when it came out, and I loved Overwatch for a very long time. I was still playing Overwatch a ton when we started this project, actually. So that wouldn't fit into this game. I appreciate Eminem with AR rifles for Rangers. I like I'm a fan of ARs. Screaming and crying every day without deep gnomes. We'll eventually get there. And deep dwarves. The grill on the fire needs sausages and tomatoes. Yeah, we'll slap some food onto it. We've got some props. Acceptable says, I'd rather you all take your time and make a game you love than rush anything, especially if you're not being paid. Do what you love. Yeah, and, you know, but there's a balance, right? There is a balance. That is something where, you know, this is it's really a tough and interesting topic for us. And so that's why I want to hit it. We'll absolutely, if we need to, we'll rather push our dates and be honest with you guys than like rush something. That said, no matter when we launch, especially since we're going into early access, there will be a percentage of the player base that feels like we rushed it and we shouldn't have gone into early access yet. Just like there will always be a percentage of the player base that feels like a game launched too early or whatever. We'll gladly pull the old school Blizzard on you and say we'll ship when we're ready. But we, you know, at some point we do want to be live and have you guys in here. So hey, Snow Matrix, what's up? I was just thinking about you, I think. Dula69 says, have you seen Deadlock if you like Overwatch? I've seen it. I have not played it. Somebody sent me an invite. I find it really, really hard right now to not feel guilty if I'm doing something other than spending time with my wife, being physical, or, you know, like working out or whatever. But yeah, being physical with my wife as well. That's important. And, or working on M&M or working with the team or recruiting, always sort of looking around and talking to some different folks and things like that. So yeah. To be satisfied with your work, you have to hold yourself accountable to a degree. Absolutely. And, you know, it gets easy to cut yourself some slack and then look back and be like, oh man, I wish I'd just been a little bit more disciplined during that period. Right. And we don't get the time back. So, oh, Justin Beard, you guys have eggnog already? That's so awesome. I miss eggnog so much. It's been rare that I've seen it here in Germany. Airsoft guns, air elementals, and tools that toss out harmless berries. Yeah. We probably won't cross those streams. So, Acceptable asks, is there a business process y'all follow to set deadlines or like a logic process? I guess something like Scrum. Very curious to hear how that changes between normal software development. So the thing that we run into is because everybody's a volunteer and everybody's got like, I'd say the vast majority of the team have full-time jobs and other commitments, families, things like that. It's very difficult for us to be highly predictable with regards to deadlines. And it's very difficult for us to try to use sort of the standard approach to accountability, if that makes sense. So it's been really important for us to assemble a team of individuals that hold themselves accountable. There are times when we'll ping people and, we'll get a feel for like what's going on. It's just like, hey, you haven't heard from you in a couple weeks, or haven't heard from you in a couple months. What's going on? Typically, if we haven't heard from somebody, it's rare that we haven't heard from somebody in a couple months. Usually, within a week or two, we've kind of heard that, hey, there's a situation. I'm flying around the world at the moment. I'm having to, build my this upcoming class curriculum. I've had major esports events that my company's in, right? Like there's always a thing that people will let us know roughly, hey, it's going to be a week, a month, or whatever before I can get fully engaged, right? But that stuff comes out of nowhere for us. So it's different where if I'm on a normal team at a normal company, then there's not a, people still have lives. Family can get sick, or hey, something's come up, or got to travel, right? Like, but it's way less frequent, and with the exception of some sort of like weird catastrophic event or whatever, you can kind of expect that your team's going to be putting in 40 hours a week, and the majority of the team's going to be putting in 40 hours a week, that type of things. Makes sense? So for us, it's been really important to have mature people. Yeah, hurricanes just came up, right, Nicodemus? It's important for us to have mature people on the team that will mostly hold themselves accountable. Naturally, it's something that you kind of got to ping people every once in a while and go, hey, what about this thing, or where are we at? Because one of the things that, naturally people get excited, or there'll be a conversation and like some shit will come up, and then they'll be like, oh, we're working on this thing that came up in a conversation, right? And more what we're trying to do is more and more we're trying to just reinforce, hey, we have these things on our high level roadmap. We have the roadmap you guys have seen is not a really like a feature roadmap, or it's not something that's very granular. Internally, we've got something that's a bit more granular so that we can kind of see we're working in these areas. And it's a good reminder. Like I do this now, like almost every day I open a high level roadmap to remind me that as much as I'd like to be working on, like, for example, religion, we've got a religion system proposed. We've got some ideas for gods. We've got, a nice chunk of that there. And I'd love to be dabbling in that. But I need to finish 2 other things before the end of the month that like the artists are dependent on that input for, right? And it needs input for the rest of the team. So as much as I'd like to do something else, I've got to keep myself on track. And more we've got to, just remind people on the team, like, here's the stuff that we've signed up for. Are we still on track? What do we need to get done? You asked a question, how do you plan for the unpredictable? Well, first of all, there's a bit of just sort of understanding how much buffer we have in time-wise, like how tight is that timeline? Then there's how much can we wiggle on the scope of that? So if something does happen, what we can do there. How do we triage it? Is it something where if somebody's like out of the loop for X amount of time, is that critical? And if it is critical, is that something I can pick up, or Nick can pick up, or one of the artists can pick up? Right. So we're very, very much a low project managed team, and very much a agile in the no bullshit, not meaning it to be like buzzword bingo sense. Like ask constantly, hey, how's stuff going? Try to get feedback from the team as much as possible regularly. change the plan as necessary. And that's one of those things where as this year progresses, we may find that we've beat our milestones in certain areas. Nice. And then we're going to find that, oh shit, we got to shift something around in other areas because we're falling behind a little bit, or we're going to reduce scope on one thing. Like, hey, we're going to reduce the scope on this one zone a little bit, but we've already got other zones that aren't even, you guys aren't aware of, that, little zones and stuff like that. We're doing other stuff that's already kind of like backfilled, and it's a little bit more than we promised, right? So it's really, I mean, when I was in the Army, infantry basic training 101, shoot, move, communicate, that has been our project management so far, right? Like, take action, drive things forward, adjust as needed, communicate what's going on. So that's that. Now there is a on this topic though, there is a point that is funny. Like, Nicodemus and I got on this topic earlier, and he was like, "Hey, that's the way that you mentioned that was actually kind of helpful for me. Maybe mention it again later." And so, yeah, I'm gonna hit on that real quick, actually. But I'm gonna check before I go off on that. I'm gonna check and see if I didn't miss anything here. But acceptable. It's gonna be a continuation on the project management theme. Dev Heidel says, it's been a while since I felt like I've enjoyed a game. I usually pay for an hour or two and end up back in Ultima Online or RuneScape. Looking forward to M&M. Eco stress test was kind of fun too. Nice. Possum says, I know crowdfunding has been talked about and you avoiding it for a time being. Would you ever consider crowdfunding for things like physical box and swag, not the actual game development? No, a lot of people want physical pieces of M&M. I think that's an area where that might be worthwhile, right? Like doing a Kickstarter for, like, cloth maps in a box and cool shit to put in there. Just because then the exchange is pretty one-on-one. If we don't get the engagement that we need, then cancel, give the money back kind of thing. Some sort of pre-order or something for something physical like that would be really cool. So I think that's maybe more feasible. So a shoot, scoot, and boogie. Exactly. All right. So back to the topic. One of the things I was talking to Nicodemus, Bill, about earlier was us really kind of keeping ourselves in check, like being mindful of what we're doing with our time as well. And because one of the things that kicked us off was we were talking about the industry in general. Right there, I think there are two points that got me on this topic with him. One was, I'm going to go over to the halflings. Hang out with these guys over in Cozy Town. Bumpy question, does a river along Sungreet have a name? Is it flowing away from the sea? It's flowing towards the sea. There's even an estuary fishing volume that's different. There's a river fishing volume, estuary fishing volume, and a sea fishing volume when you get down there. It is flowing towards it, or at least it should be. And the name of the river is the River Gouth. So the thing we're talking about was, every once in a while in Slack, the team will post a comment about, more companies have laid people off. And a lot of times people look at the games industry and are like, oh shit, man, there's like 16,000 layoffs this year. That's insane. But then I just posted a reminder. It's like, I think we're up to like 260,000 layoffs in tech alone this year. Right. So it's not just a games industry thing. But one of the things I've noticed is there's a lot of, it's very unfortunate when layoffs happen. I've been laid off before, and from my perspective, like I pay enough attention to the industry and I pay enough attention to the companies I work at that I knew we were getting laid off, right? Like I knew it was coming. I'd actually interviewed at several jobs and accepted a job offer like 2 weeks before I got laid off. So you can kind of read the writing on the wall, and I think, while it's not always the case, I think a lot of times, if people aren't able to see it when they're looking around internally, it's either it really was sudden, or it's probably a symptom. The layoff is a symptom of the fact that the people didn't notice it, right? And what I mean by that is there's a lot of just kind of what I've seen in my personal experience, is, and hopefully nobody takes this the wrong way, but there's a lot of slack on teams, right? And I think people get into a certain comfort zone at times at some of these companies, and it's easy for the job to be a job. I mean, it is at the end of the day, but there's a tendency, I believe, for some teams, some folks to kind of hit this like comfort, like, I just need to do these 5 things today or these 5 things this week. And once I do them, then I'm good, right? And I'll browse the internet a little bit. I'll be chit-chatting in Slack. We'll have some meetings. Maybe lunches will be a little bit longer during this period. And there's not looking ahead to like, what else could I be doing? How do I provide more value for the customer? And I absolutely get the arguments of, hey, I'm at a company that doesn't pay me for shit, or that doesn't listen to me, that I've just, for me, it's a job because, and I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm not going to do extra because, I don't feel like the company deserves it. But, yeah, that's one of those, okay, but if I feel like the company's kind of shitty and doesn't deserve my extra passion or time, then I also can't be surprised later if the company has layoffs or doesn't do well, right? Yeah, people sitting on LinkedIn and posting 75% of their time is a clear sign. Like, oof. And if you're finding your leadership doing it, then again, there are warning signs. But one of the things that I was talking to with Bill was like, hey, we've really got to watch that. This is something I was checking myself on. Like, and if I look back, I'm like, man, if I could have that first year of this project back, there's so much more that I would be doing, right? If I could have the second year of this project back, there's so much more I wanted to be engaged. I could have been engaged in and could be doing. And it gets easy for us to make excuses for ourselves, but it's never too late to kind of stop, check, and go, all right, am I being effective? And what excuses have I built into my current work process or my current way of working? And the thing is, at the end of the day, the customer, you guys, it's cool when we talk about tools and we show you tools and stuff like that on here for a lot of you, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, the players don't give a shit about our tools. They don't care about our meetings. They don't care about our schedule. They don't care about anything but getting a game that they enjoy. I would assume a lot of you probably, as much as you like us, you like the open development process. That's really an open development process and not just some bullshit that people say because they do like polished demos once a month or once however much, time. Like not pointing to any specific companies out there, but they exist, right? Like we legitimately we're just like working and rambling and doing shit, and you guys can get that insight, and we answer whatever questions come up. And so like as much as you like that, you still, if I had to guess, your primary motivation for being here or following the project is to get a MMO that you want to play, and as much of it as we can provide for you, right? So if we're like, oh shit, we're gonna be a year later than we said we were gonna be, but you know what? We had a lot of really cool meetings. That does nothing for you. That provides no value to you, right? So the thing I was talking to Bill about was like, we've got to watch, because it gets easy to get familiar with everybody on the team, and we want a good team culture where we all really like each other, which I believe we do, and we bullshit. And there are times when it's like, hey, I'm on my phone in bed, so I'm not in front of my editor, I can't do work. Or hey, I'm at my day job, someone like Bill's at my day job, or at his day job, and it's like, he can type something in on the other tab, or he can say something, like he's probably watching this on another tab at his day job or whatever, right? And so he can interact. And so I know not everybody's sitting in front of the editor all the time, and that doesn't make sense. But what I would caution our team, and then all teams, right? Because you look around, you're like, hey, why is this team, this team or that team struggling so much? Sometimes I wonder like what their behavior is. Is it, we have a bunch of meetings. I've worked at companies where there's so many fucking meetings. If we had all the meeting time that we spent in meetings and just dedicated it towards like, what, even blindly in a disorganized way, Chevy DeBard says, I beg you, please talk about the game. Eventually. So blindly in a disorganized way, like working towards providing player value, it would have been time much better spent. So my point of caution is like, hey, if we're sitting around and like, oh, it's not rude. I mean, it's fair. Your first comment was just release it already, Chevy DeBard, and now you want me to talk about the game. We've got 600 and I don't know, 650 VODs. So there's a lot of game discussion out there, and I'm going to wrap up this topic, and then I can talk about the game if you've got specific questions. So yeah, rather than spend 4 hours in a huddle, like if I see 4 hours in a huddle, my hope is that at the end of the day, there is some actionable stuff coming out of it. Because with our team has got such little time that, the idea of somebody on our team having 4 hours in one day to discuss a topic, or 2 hours in one day to discuss a topic, I'm hoping then that we're being careful and not doing that too much in situations where we could be just working on getting basic content in. Does that make sense? Yeah, so as Bill said, can spend a lot on ideas, but 1 hour implementation done is worth several hours of what if. Yeah, there's a lot of what if that happens. There's a lot of just like what ifing in meetings and not necessarily making shit. So Chevy DeBard, what do you want to know about the game? Your first message is first time chat. And your second message is, I beg you, please talk about the game. Why you got no Ultravision on? Because I'm a human and I don't believe I picked that on the way in. It is definitely best in slot. We're going to have to find some way to balance that out. I think Simon or somebody put additional rolling hills back there. What's up, you shoes? I'm doing good. How are you? You're waiting for the MMORPG that gives underground races day blindness? Gentle Mango, have you seen our day blindness? We've played around with a bunch of different examples. It's tough. Gentle Mango said, how would you even render day blindness in a user-friendly way? It's been very tough. Yeah, it was things blurred out at a long distance. Do we have a bard class? We do. Can you see bard? Nope. But you may be able to find one in a playtest VOD or two. Could make NPC names not appear until you're up close. Yeah, that's one of the things that's come up. We'll probably be playing with. Can you see combat? You can. Here, let me. Let me find you something. Oh, that one's not out yet. Go here. Let me scroll back. I'll find you an old VOD. Oh, this is a good one. Copy link. There you go. That link right there. You saw the Pornhub tab? Of course you did. You're not trolling your customer? Okay. You need attention. It'd almost be fair if you were paying. If you're already paying, then it would be worth my while to give you the attention that you seek. But check that VOD if you're actually serious about wanting to see combat and stuff. Check the VOD that I just linked. But if you're here just to like get me to do things, then probably won't be that successful, but I'll keep talking to you. Alright, I need to come in here. Maybe prop a bit. Do some of this with Nicodemus. I had that on my like nice to do kind of list. Man, I wish I could get that domain. What's it costing now? Lonely Gnomes. Oh, they're not even showing the price anymore, are they? Is there a line of sight issue along the shoreline here? Are you saying you've run into a line of sight issue here before? Realistic time frame on a release. Here, check this out. That link right there is got a ton of information about early access. All right, so if you come over here, ignore my Only Gnomes tab. So here's an overview on information. Here's an FAQ on those topics, and here's some roadmaps and background info. Yep. Hey, what's up, Crescents? Yeah, so that should give you a ton. Specifically at the power docks, can't cast on them unless you're up close to the docks themselves. Power docks, I think, are down farther, huh? We ran into an interesting, and I can check it. I might be able to see it. We ran into an interesting problem with line of sight that wound up being sound emitters in Unity were set up in a way where they were blocking line of sight, but you couldn't see them because they're essentially like a, gizmo or whatever in Unity. If it was happening all along the beachfront, it may have been this. It may have been that issue, and we may have fixed it. But if we only fixed it in like Shaded Dunes, then we'll be able to fix it here. Did I play any Evercraft? I did. I streamed it last Friday. I played a cleric. Wonder if I even got those checked. It was something like, it was like these guys. I could have sworn, at least, if one of our programmers in chat, maybe they could say it, but I could have sworn it was something like these emitters were blocking line of sight. But is this emitter attached to this guy, maybe? That's what I'm looking at. Anyways, it was something weird like that they ran into. What are my thoughts on Shadows of Lucklin expansion EQ destroying the face-to-face experience in the economy? Personally, is one of my favorite parts of EQ. I mean, it's hard for me to put too much of a value judgment on any of the stuff that happened back then, just because it was kind of hard to predict, or even if it could have been predicted, we just didn't have the time to think through it some of the times. Will we have face-to-face economy? Yeah. So we're more for an active, like, player-to-player trade economy than any, like, we won't have an auction house. We don't have like a bazaar set up. The hope is to provide tools to make player-to-player trading even more interesting and like powerful. So there are ideas like the ability for you to give other players items on consignment in a safe way. So you can set the parameters of what you want the sale to look like, and then if they don't meet the parameters, you get the item back. Things like that. So yeah, we'll be more EC than Bazaar. Bill said, "Hey Sean, folks, I think the LOS issue was caused by sound trigger volume on torches, at least in Wormsbane. It's a bit in the object hierarchy though. If we have, when was the last time we were talking about the issues? I haven't checked Slack. Like I don't remember the last time we were saying we were having LOS issues in sorry, I'm looking something up. A few weeks ago, okay. Will there be a pay to win aspect? No. It's strictly subscription based. What's up, Ollie? Brian, have we shown Evergrove on stream? I can't remember. Are we planning an in-game wiki like Civilization, or gonna need to have more monitors? You'll need to have more monitors. There's no in-game map. Definitely no in-game wiki. Been away for a bit. Did the running animation change? I was wondering that the other day myself, because I was talking about how much I liked it. Yeah, it's really fun. Can you loot a map after defeating a Zomob or a quest? Maps are awesome. An actual in-game map. So the most we've talked about potentially putting in is a static map that doesn't show your location or anything. May or may not be accurate. And so if we wind up going the route of there being that type of static mapping game, then I could see us doing some little weird maps and stuff. Yeah, similar to Embers. I don't know that we would do like a Fog of War or anything. And there may be some different versions. Like if you were to buy a map from a goblin, I wouldn't trust it. Will Eminem have mod support? You can let people make the in-game wiki. No plans on that at this time. 3 monitors. One for M&M, one for M&M Wiki, one for degenerate stuff. I feel like you could be able to, I feel like you could do that with 2 monitors. Yeah, I didn't feel the I don't feel the Embers Adrift map is a bad compromise at all. The Super Breeze says without in-game maps, folks will just use third-party tools to get accurate location data, and it just punishes those who don't. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if they actually get that data. I mean, there's no /loc in our game, so how are they getting the data? I guess maybe packet sniffing or something like that, but we have plans to help mitigate that as well. So, I mean, the basic argument would be some people may find some way to circumvent things that you're trying to do and or cheat. So why not just do X? And I don't think we're ever going to really use that logic. What's up, Rift Wolf? Why are you popping off today? I have no idea. It's Wednesday. It's starting to be, it's getting near the holidays. People aren't working as hard. They're just watching Twitch. What's the best guess for full release date in M&M so far? Oh, you know what it could be? There was a video that featured us. How many people just watched, what was that video? How many people are new here and you got here via, the fuck is it called? Media coverage. Where was it? You know the video I'm talking about. Yeah, Flextra Life. Tactical system. Hey, check this out. More info for you if you want it. I was showing this to people earlier. If you go... Did you just say Flextra Life? I don't know. I tried to read whatever... Whatever you'd post, I couldn't remember. So anyways, tactical system. If you look here, we've got an overview. Shows you how to make an account. Early access FAQ, and then various roadmaps and historical roadmaps. And we even break down like our development costs and all that stuff for you. We need to update it for the year, but yeah, so there's a bunch of info there. Will M&M have class epic quests, weapons particularly? Eventually. We don't, it's not a priority for early access launch, but eventually. Did I play any EQ? I played for 3 hours or so on Friday. I streamed it. And then Nick played pretty heavily. I think Nick was like the first, if not, it was either one of the first or was the first level 15. Do I play live or Teak? I played neither of those. The last TLP I played seriously was Air-Dune. And then I think we played a little bit of Mischief, but played through Velius on Air-Dune and then kind of petered out. And then from there, just spent more and more time on P99 green. Airdoom was a lot of fun. That was kind of my return to EQ, so. P99 green, gross. Why is it gross? If there's a new P99, I'd definitely be super all over it. For some reason, parts of the EQ community just like P99. Yeah, I noticed that when I was on Airdoon. Oh shit. Ignore his animations for now. And the fact that you didn't hear him coming. Snow Matrix. Yeah, we'll have to get some sounds for that giant Snow Matrix. Yep, it was lemon candies. Usually M&M streams average 4 to 15 people. This is big in relation. Are you sure? Are you sure that my streams only have between 4 and 15 people on them regularly? Looking at tonight's numbers, it's actually pretty average. I usually don't look at the numbers, but yeah, this is average. This is normal. Riftwolf, I think you gotta get to know us a little bit better. Sean shows more skinny, gets more viewers. Ooh, let me look at the brightness. It's just glowing. I pull my sleeve up and you're blinded. Yeah, the farmer's tan's pretty fierce. You don't even want to see the belly. Hey, Sanguine. Yeah, you guys were talking about day blindness earlier, right? Do we want to do this right now? They're like, how did day blindness work? Day blindness. Zero said, I have an EQ question. In the Raid Zone Tech V, there's skeletons before each boss room named after devs. Are you in there? I don't think so. Got that in the thumbnail. I think views are already going up. Get the Only Gnomes link on screen. I mean, if we could afford it, I really do. I would love to have onlygnomes.com be a link to our shop. It's just at the moment can't justify spending the 2,700. Yeah, Snow Matrix. I just, the other dots don't hit the same way for me. So Simon and Mike have been working in this area. So next play test, you can try to explore around here, but it'll be dangerous. Probably hop in and do some population work in here soon. But those of you that haven't been over in this area recently, I figured I'd give you a little sample. This is not Glass Flats. This is in Vale. But I'm not going to go too far in. I don't want to ruin it for you when you finally do go in. Who turned off your sand? I don't know. Ask Simon what's going on. There's some really cool stuff up here. I don't want to blow it for you. And now that I think about it, I'm actually pretty I'm pretty on the fence about running into Evergrove, and because I was thinking, oh, I want to run around there. There's some areas I want to look at a little bit before I finish writing some stuff up, Brian. But now I'm kind of like, do I go to the zone in to answer that question for Defiant Possum? It is a tough call, right? So what if we just show you what if I just zone in for a minute and I won't run around. Let's say things will definitely change significantly. So that's also a good thing. Should we zone into Evergrove? That'll be the poll. It'll be yes. No. Then we'll start the poll, and if there are 96 people in here, I just moused over it. 1,000 yeses to zone in. Hey, what's up, Essential X? Let's say if we can get 20 yeses, that's like a 20% engagement. Then we'll do it. Hey, Pattis, what's up? Start poll. I assume you guys can see it. Or is it hidden? No poll? Alright, let me see what's going on. There it is. Poll is alive. Of course it is. And it's got to be 20 yeses. And if the no's outnumber the yeses, even if it makes it past 20, we're not doing it. Number. Oh shit! I went way too low on this number. You're already at 15. Nose. The nose are coming after you. I'll give the nose some time to catch up. Tug of war. Tug of war. Oh my gosh. Nose are creeping up. Nose are creeping up on you. Hey Jasmine. Welcome back. Is that prom 3 or prom? Either way. Climbing out of the woodwork with a no. 25 yeses, 11 no's. You still have a chance. You still have a chance to block them, no's. Should we show them the green zone? I'm not going to show much though. We don't want to ruin it. Just like I'm not showing much beyond here. So we got 27 yeses, 11 no's. The no peoples are they're helping. They're pushing back. You hear my dog? Jasmine just came home, so he's doing his little freak out dance. I think this is the most engagement I've ever had on a poll. All right. I'm going to give you, it's 8:42 right now. I'll give you until 8:45 and then we'll see where we're at. Make it nighttime. Oh, that's a good point. Clickbait polls have high engagement. Who knew? I didn't know that. Learned something new, Ollie. Got 2 more minutes and then we'll see how the poll shakes out. But at this point, it looks like yeses win. Next poll, do we check under the giant's loincloth? Ollie, you're sassy today. That time of night, are the kids in bed? All right, 1 more minute. It's nighttime, so that'll work. What? I just reset it to, Ollie, the reason why it's nighttime is because I hit -1, so this is the actual server time. Ollie? This is the server time. Yeah, I'm not always a dummy. O ye of little faith. Okay. Zoning in nighttime. Zone. Oh, and I get the zone bug. Ollie, I got the zone bug. Well, there you go, guys. I did it. I will log back in. Chip was like, well, I've been wondering if you could get it in the editor. This is the first time I've ever had it in the editor. Hope it was worth it, 1 voters. Oh. Now. Repo steps only happens at midnight. Got it. Yeah. Even the game voted no. Oh, that is brilliant, Unchained. Alright, we'll try again. What movie? There's like a soundbite from some movie or something somewhere. Checks where, and every time someone says it's beautiful, I hear it in my head. It's like, I don't know if it was a kid or what. They go, it's beautiful. What was it? Was it Drew Barrymore in E.T.? That is something. Is it E.T., Ollie? This isn't the zone in though. This is not putting me at the zone in. I feel like I have... Okay, I was like, is my light turned on? Why is this so bright right here? Let's go somewhere dark. OMG, Eminem without sand. Am I currently inside geometry? We'll have to fix that. I'm free now. In Eminem, you take the sand with you. Pocket sand. So it is, this zone is very much in progress, and you'll probably see it. And I was thinking about this earlier today. It's inevitable that you see some work being done in here. Don't want to ruin it for you guys, but those of you that are watching the streams pretty regularly, I assume you're okay with a certain amount of like things being kind of a little spoiled for you. Everybody else, I'll try to warn you before we do it, but there's going to be a lot of work going on in here for several months. So you don't want spoilers, probably don't watch dev streams, to be honest. Dargus, that's fair. You have a way of pointing out things like that, don't you? So, some would say the best words. Not you, but some. So I have a legit question. How hard was it for the art and geo team to switch from rocks and sand to trees and grass? Extremely easy. merely snapped my fingers and this zone appeared. Has any pop work been done in here yet? Nope. Nope. That is one of the reasons why I say you'll probably end up seeing more of it in the coming months, because there will be some of that. Excuse me. So yeah, this is the first of our forest zones that you're seeing. We'll see how many are in for early access, but you'll absolutely have at least 2 green zones, but we'll see. Did I check out Blockburrow during the Evercraft test? I didn't. Shit, now I feel like I missed out. Now I've got a new mission for the next playtest. But yeah, Bilth has been busy in here. It's coming along. The zone's actually true to form for us. The zone's pretty damn big. There's a lot going on, so don't be surprised if you wind up discovering areas and it's nighttime right now, Dargus. Yeah. Do you want me to show it on stream, honey? It's been a few weeks since Jasmine was at the range. Which, yes, that does exist in Germany. Not bad for 25 meters with a pistol. Can you... I guess you can see that. Pew, pew, pew. Yep. Especially for 25 meters, guys. Oh, yeah. A meter, it's like a yard. It's like a yard. Never shot pistol, don't use the European system. There you go. Jasmine, she shoots, in the US, it would be a VP9. In Germany, it's a SFP9. Because they don't like to use the name Volkspistole very much in Germany. But, yeah. More accurate than your Counter-Strike shooting. Yeah, Nicodemus. VP9. VP9. Excited to see more about the Permos. Oh, that's interesting. Slipping a little bit. Some more background on the Permos. I think as you interact in Night Harbor, we'll be able to deliver some of that for you. But let me make a note. More food for halfling area. Don't forget the Permos lore, which we're doing a lot of Night Harbor lore cleanup and rework and additions and stuff right now. So now that is the time. Rat race, no playable rat race at this time. But we'll have a were-rat and we'll have a... Okay, this is fixed again. Let me go check the other guys because they were broken the other day. We have were-rats, and then we are currently... One of our two Brandons is currently working on a rat man model, which will also be in here. Trolls are not in here yet. Trolls won't be in for a bit. Goblins? You mean sewer gnome? Okay, these guys were broken the other day. I guess maybe there's just something going on in code or whatever, because they were using the wrong texture. So that's cool. I was worried. I think the idea for a wipe for the next test was tossed around. That's still an idea. Ollie, was there a discussion of a wipe? Zachary asks, will goblins be able to pick region? At the moment, I don't think so. Ollie's not aware of a wipe. You guys sure love beetles? You hate it? You don't like beetles? They gross you out. Interesting. So we still have a ways to go on textures. It's something where I think Pattis has been looking into the last little bit, and it's something that's kind of top of our list is figuring out just how we're going to get how we're going to approach the remaining texture work that we need to do for early access. Rats, bats, and beetles. What more mob types does the game really need? Somebody on one of the comments on one of the videos was the guys were upset that they had played in a playtest and immediately died to a rat. And the guy was like, it needs to be... I think I need to be... You know what would be awesome? Oh, but I don't know that I can do it on stream. Harrison or Ali, maybe Ali, maybe we could do it tomorrow morning if you're around, or tomorrow. I need a refresher on how we're building pathing in the current system. Because I need to rebuild some pathing in a few areas. But I am kind of afraid to do that. On stream. Oh, right on. Yeah, either of you, if you're around, just let me know. And was the Playborn Scully clipping through the shrine thingy, or did it seem that way? He was. That's what got me thinking about. I need to rebuild the nav mesh. And then I think some of the props may not have... Oh, yeah. They do have collision, but there's no... so I know there's collision there, but the NPC doesn't know there's collision there, because we've got to rebuild the nav mesh, which will indicate that there's collision there. If I'm not mistaken. So until we do that, they'll walk through stuff. And I've added some stuff in some places. Chinny D has been in here. Chinny D's the one that's been propping out this area. Those of you that said, like Lemon Candy says, haven't seen the Plagueborn yet. Yeah, there's a big Plagueborn theme starting right about here, working its way up. Will Ogre Collision at peak run speed make mobs fall down and take damage? Chip, Ollie, what do you think? So you still can't make it into Fallen Watch, Hindo. Enable collision with NPCs so they can block your escape. Got it. There we go. That is a perfect programmer solution. Taking notes to stream. Perfect. It isn't called Fallen Watch from the lips of Ali yesterday at 12:06 a.m. Tall Stone of the West. It just depends on who you're asking. Different NPCs have a different take. This is fixed now. Those of you that were having they're running into problems because this ladder didn't work, that'll be fixed. This is fixed for the next playtest. Wait, poorly built Fallen Tower of the West. Well, the thing is, we've got two things going on. We've got a West Watch over here. It's not textured at the moment, but there's the Western Watch, or also known as Overwatch by the Sea. And then we have the Fallen Watch. According to Ollie, there's a short Tower of the West. Alright, so Invuln, and then cast Grab Flux on myself. Dragon, any word on 10 nodes. Let me make another note. Any word on 10 nodes. Oh, I turned my invulnerability off. Shit, that was close. It doesn't do it the second time. As long as we're making notes of things, definitely make a note that wagoneering is the most important trade skill to work on next. Let me see, where is that on the map? It's not. It's not on the roadmap. Yeah, both. I mean, we've got one, right? Ignore that sound in the background. Simon! What's up, buddy? Let's see. But yeah, I was talking to Bill earlier, Simon. And I was talking to Nicodemus, and one of the things I'm really gonna try to reinforce as we're moving forward is, on one hand, when we've got easy wins where we can prop something and you know, spruce it up a bit or tell a little bit better of a story or whatever, we'll do that. I do think with the propping, we've got enough resources where if it's just like prop additions or changes, because he and I were working through, we're in the halfling area earlier today. Let me go back to Sungreet. And so he was telling me a little bit about like some of the ideas he had for the halfling area. And so the thing that I'm going to encourage folks on the team to do whenever possible is like, rather than go, oh, I've got this, you know, this additional idea for, like in that case, the halflings there, given, you know, that they're researching archaeology and stuff like that, rather than do something like update that area to be a dig site, it was like, listen, we've got all of Telekir and the two entrances to Telekir and an interesting relationship between the halflings and the Ashira and all that stuff, especially historically. Like there's a lot we can do to time set 7 a.m. reuse what we've got. And then if we, you know, if we want to make some adjustments to the props, which we did, cast, then that's something that I can help with. You know, or we can grab one of the other guys for two reasons. One, to make sure that we're not distracting you as you're working on, like right now, Vale, or Harrison as he's working on New Zone. But also just so that we're continuing to keep scope in mind, right? Because, you know, it's kind of twofold. If you spend a few days like redoing that small POI instead of us just kind of using it as is, it's kind of threefold. Then we're pushing fidelity beyond what we initially signed up for. We wanted to be able to do just simple camps, simple propping, and then be able to tell the story with, you know, some of the dialogue that's there, interaction that's there. That should be like the halfling should be campable. There are going to be different you know, different factions and folks that will be more than happy to go kill them and take their stuff. And as much as possible, reuse what we've got. And it's not just reuse, it's like adding in more depth to those areas that we already have, right? So we've got Telekir, and there's a lot of story to tell about Telekir. So why not use these guys to tell that story instead of telling this entirely new story at this new POI? Right. So what I did was went in and we sat together just in a huddle and went through just adding props in Unity, you know, starting with the, hey, this is how you tell the channel that you're checking out the zone, and then coming in and, you know, this is how you actually work with the assets in the scene and stuff. So, and then save it and, you know, check your work during it, pop in and kind of look and see, and then, you know, check it back in and all of that. So that's one of those things. I love that because we're working in Unity, designers can come in and make adjustments to props. And I love how much storytelling we can do just with these props. So what we did was like came in. One of the first things I was mentioning this earlier in the stream, all the props were full size initially, and so it's like, okay, well. And I couldn't remember if you had added the props or if I'd added some props or what, Simon. But yeah, so I just coming in showed Bill how to like grab the assets, half size it. We tried with like 0.75 is still too big. Did half size, and it's really nice because it's really got that nice, like appropriate for halflings, because you know they brought all this stuff here with them, their little wagons and stuff. Everything's appropriately halfling size now, and that gives a, you know, cute little cozy feel. And then we need to do, as was noted earlier in the stream, we got to do more foodstuffs around its halflings. Probably, I think we may even give them an extra fire or two. These guys probably have a couple grills going at one time. That's kind of a priority for them. And so we'll plop down another fire pit, another 2 fire pits here. We'll have a nice triangle set up, and we'll throw a bunch of different stuff on them. We actually have potatoes that we can put in here. So let's see. We've got a whole bunch of, Bill's made a whole bunch of different fruits and veggies and stuff like that. So we can use those fills in here. So a chef hat for when a halfling spawns, special drop item. Might be. Maybe. Are there any plans for focus effects like ultravision? What do you mean acceptable? Like, we've got ultravision, and I believe we can bestow it with an ability already. Ship, let me know if I'm wrong. Roger and Prom? Or is it Prom? Let me know so I don't mess your name up. Thank you for the follows. Ollie was asking, do you mean like equip effects on items? We had that, he said. Then I broke him last week. Ollie's been for the last, how long has it been now? 2 weeks? Or longer? It feels like it's been a bit longer. Ollie's been doing a major refactor to spell effects. About 10 days. Okay. So that's been his life. It's funny, behind the scenes we've had oops, let me stop blinding you. Behind the scenes we've had, it's Chrome? Okay. So what was the deal? Ollie had everybody looking to see what was broken because we had like random effects. It was kind of like a fun idea for a TLP server or something. It was you know, like my what was it? There was something that was giving you levitate instead of you know, my invisibility to undead is give me levitate and all of that type of stuff. So like basically there are a bunch of effects mixed up. Yeah, IVU is doing levitate. Are the PvP factions going to be the classic bad dudes, ogres, trolls, goblins, good dudes, gnomes, halfling, humans things, or a little more dynamic? Maybe based on religion. We're not sure yet. We'll probably do some polling if it looks like we're only really going to have enough interest in one PvP server, then we'll probably do some polling with the community and see the best way to do it. Maybe we just have it be, you know, more freeform or guild based or something like that, so you guys can kind of do it however you want to do it. But we'll see. It'd be a very good topic before we go live, and then if we have like a shitload of interest in PvP, or at least enough interest to have multiple servers, then we can do some other rule sets. Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it'd be fun to have good lore justification for it, males, but sometimes it's just why, you know, sometimes the gamier, it just kind of makes sense approach is okay, right? Like, I mean, it's mildly lore enforced if it's like evils versus goods versus neutrals, but yeah, it is a bit gamey. So yeah, Bill's going to be updating this area. Right now, these are just placeholder NPCs. But then when he's done that, we've also got some farms and the brewery down here with the river pirates and stuff like that. That'll probably be getting a bit of an update. Yeah, so our faction system, the plan for the time being at least, will be for it to be pretty. I'm sorry, our religion system is the plan is for it to work a lot more like factions and pretty fluid, plus progression within it. So that may be one of those things that on a PvP server we may find that there's something we could do where it's based off the alignment of gods, because the various gods will be aligned. So I could see where that might wind up being a fun, especially with the fluidity there. So in theory, you could, through the game mechanics, align yourself within a different sort of collection of gods and thus be on a different PvP team. That might be a shit idea. It might work. So it's definitely something to bring up later as we're getting closer to that. So I'm curious, and I want to do more brainstorms. We did a brainstorm session last week. If you guys haven't checked it, the VOD will be up in the next week or two, but you can probably watch the VODs here on Twitch. So I played Eco last week on Friday, and on Wednesday we did a brainstorm session where I asked what you guys thought about what makes good island zones, and then what makes a good it was island and forest. Sharks with lasers. I think that was oddly not on the list. Yeah, it's not eco. I guess it'd be echo, right? Justin Beard, yes, you should grow a beard. IdaFab said, tell Nick he got carried in Evercraft. I will mention that to Nick if he's not listening. BG834 says, hi Sean, it's been years since I've caught your stream while it's live. Used to watch you on TLP and talk about nerdy stuff in chat. Playtested Eminem twice, 11 Monk, 8 Wizard. It's coming out really well. It's badass. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it to an actual live stream. Were you, if you're hanging out when we were on TLP, then that was like back when the game first was worked on, like capsules and stuff. Back when the game was good. Thanks, Targa. This stream is really just a worse version of other streams, isn't it, Dargith? I have one in my pocket and there's one somewhere else. That's not a small one. It's not with your stuff? Here. I need to get this pin out of my pocket anyway. And here we go. And I'll just find the other one. Giant sea turtle whose back is the island and he moves. Ollie, how hard would it be to implement? Ollie said about as hard as boats, I guess. Well, but will our boats have NPCs on them? I forget where we left off on that. Didn't we say a long time ago that we wanted to we wanted to do that, but I don't know if we're still committing to that concept. Nice. So yes. That would be pretty cool. So I have a question for you guys. Whether you've played the playtests before or haven't and are anticipating them. What is the number one feature that you have not interacted with that you would want to interact with? Dragon says 10 nodes. What aspect of crafting acceptable? What aspect of it? Dargit says island expeditions. All of it, all of the crafting. We've got a ridiculous number of trade skills. We'll be releasing trade skills well after we're in early access and probably even version 1.0. I think we've currently already got like, I don't know, Ali, how many is it? 30? 40? Simon said after playing Evercraft on the weekend, I really like their gatherable system. I really explain more. Like, what did you like about it, Simon? I really liked being able to like get mushrooms off the side of trees and sap and stuff like that. Zachary says I want to play with instruments on a bard. Okay. Dragon wants cartography. Crescent said guild UI management, larger group UI systems. You'd have to elaborate on the second part. I think we've added in more guild management stuff since the last playtest. Let's see, crafting in Evercraft felt really useful. Throwing mushrooms was fun too. Dargith said, +1 for gathering. It's harvesting anyone can interact with. Could be a cool way to take foraging and give rangers like special loot, table rolls on them or something. Oh, okay, Crescents. Gathering sticks for campfires felt better than logging fallen wood with axes. That's an interesting point. How do you picture logging wood if we're not doing like trees that fall over and stuff like that, Dargus? Talat said, this is late reply to the island thing. I lived in Maui for a while with my brother. Your brother Abago. I probably butchered the name. Always loved Owl Gulch. The 7 sacred pools. It was a set of waterfall and pools that the royal family bathed in. I will take note. And I can add that. So what I did, for those of you that are curious about what we do with the brainstorms, went ahead and made sure that we had all of that recorded in our Confluence. So let me go into Confluence right now. It'll take a moment. And then, man, my machine's so laggy when I'm streaming and got the editor running and shit. Sorry, this is like a 1 minute thing that I'm trying to do that'll wind up taking like 4. Community brainstorm section. What makes a good island zone? I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you, Talit, to make sure it does not get lost. I'm adding it in right now to this page. Update. All right, recorded for all time. Let's see. Larger group content would be cool in the vein of expeditions. Would love to see instruments implemented for Bard. Cool. It's cool. A few people want those. I don't know where they fall on our sort of list of to-dos, but Ollie said more like Valheim maybe. But Ollie, can we? I don't think we could do that though. Can we? I can't imagine that we can do that. I think if we were to make it so that you can just cut down a tree, any tree like Valheim, then these areas would be treeless for the most part. And then also, if you can't cut down every tree, then we've got to show like the difference between can be cut down and can't be cut down. Then we've got to deal with how we're going to animate them, whether that's physics based or it's a set animation. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the difference between cutting down a tree and gathering stick. BGE 834 says, would have loved to go deeper into dungeons, find players with a little more time on their hands. Got into groups, but there's a lot of shuffling of players. Are you talking about the Evercraft playtest or? Will there be a compass or sextant in game for navigation? Not a hub compass, but one you have to check from time to time. Probably yes, Ali said. I will double that, or what? I plus one that. Who's assisting Nick with developing classes? Nick and Ollie work together a lot on that. We've got a designer on the team that's working with them as well. Probably more so in the coming months. He was one of the EQ2 guys. I think he was on EQ2 for about a total of 11 years. So he's going to be helping on the system side as well. And then, I mean, the team in general has input and questions and feedback and stuff. So those are all the folks assisting. Hindo said, I have a love-hate relationship with crafting, and Echo is more involved than Eminem. Our goal has always been for our crafting to become more involved. So it'll be interesting to see how those things match up over time. Scruffy said, I like how in Evercraft they had a separate inventory for crafting tools. That way I didn't have to equip my tools each time I use them. Yeah, they've got a lot of conveniences in there. I think it works for their game. I'm not sold on that type of stuff for us necessarily. D Loves Pudding says astrology skill can be used to track meteorites. Meteorites create big mining opportunities since it smashes into the Earth. Skills combining to help other players, help other skills is my point. Yeah, astrology will be a fun one to work through. Crescent's mentioned Final Fantasy XI has a decent gathering system where nodes have specific spawns or generally just shiny orbs on objects. Final Fantasy XIV does that as well. I kind of liked the shiny indicator on different objects system. And then you have the same interaction, animations and sounds and all that stuff. I liked it. I don't know if we'll ever go that route, but I felt it was pretty versatile. Who was the guest designer you mentioned a while back? Did you reveal that? Guest designer? There's a guest environment artist that's been sort of chipping away at the zone. And I haven't mentioned who that is. Hindo said, so in Evercraft, if I wanted to make a leather bag, I had to have skinning to get hide, butchering to get animal fat, tanning to cure the hides. This piece actually took 2 minutes IRL time per cycle. Then I could craft the with leatherworking, the base components combined for a leather bag. And in theory, I think if Ali had his druthers, and I definitely agree with this. I don't know at this point, Ali, I have questions about whether or not we'll get to the point where this is actually done, but like the way we discussed it in the past, it would be that sort of approach, Hindo. Plus then where do you get the metal rivets potentially for the clasp, or where do you get the metal clasp for the bag? Or all sorts of shit like that. So the idea of having there be a bunch of different skills interwoven to make one product is really appealing, but it's not something where we need to actually sit down and get more of that mapped out in a way where it's pretty well understood, and then go in that direction if we're going to do it. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to remember that Ollie's a big Star Wars Galaxy's Ultima Online head. You need to figure out what kind of persona you want that system to appeal to. If I had to craft grommets as part of making a leather bag, I never touch the system, but others would love it. I think in that case, we would be making a crafting system for people that like crafting, like really like crafting. And then if you didn't like that kind of crafting system, then you would be able to provide them with the inputs, right? Like you would be the person doing the adventuring and feeding stuff into that system. Inputs being coined, that works as well, right? Zachary for an island zone. You know what? Since I've already got the page open, I'll add it. It's interesting figuring out where everything came from and to figure out I could skip some parts if I didn't want to do certain trade skills at a larger cost. So I could buy tanning myself for curing and I could level brewing, which would only cost me time to craft stuff. Yeah. No, I think it's fantastic. So on one hand, I'm not sold on like I'm not sold necessarily on tool slots at the moment. But I could definitely see the case being made, especially if there's more complex crafting that requires multiple tools. But I am absolutely keen on the level of complexity that you're describing. Let's see. BG834 says, I had a few concerns related to the core game philosophy. Wasn't sure when to bring it up. It would shift the conversation a bit. Was wondering when the best time to just bring it up whenever. What about a tool belt that's larger than a normal bag, but you can only store crafting tools? Something like that might be cool. I would hope so, D Loves Pudding. Asked if blacksmithing includes recipes for upgrading crafted tools. But in this system, you'd probably need more than just blacksmithing unless it was just a metal tool, right? BG, what are your concerns? And I'll see if I can address them. Like maybe you need crafting skill and blacksmithing to combine a tool for, say, wood cutting and tool crafting. Yeah, absolutely. Chip said, I think I tanked Wormsbane using my lumberjack axe for a while last test. I'm fairly certain I've done that in our game. Chronic 1904, thank you for the follow. I was mentioning very early in the stream for the folks that are that watch the streams just because they kind of taper off. But I'll mention it here as well for folks. Yeah, so we just hit 10,000 people on our Discord, 7,000 people on our mailing list, and those they're not complete overlaps, but we're only at like 4,700 people on YouTube subscribes. So if you want to help us out at some point, we definitely appreciate all the comments and likes and other shit that you guys do on the videos, and I think it helps a bit with discoverability. So it'd be cool to push that number up a bit. And then, you know, we try to get all of our VODs posted in a relatively timely manner. Sometimes it takes a little while, but just because I mention it because we've had a number of people who actually let me get a new torch, who actually find us through the YouTube VODs, which is pretty cool. Every little bit counts. We appreciate it. People are always like, how do we help? That is one of the number one ways to help us at the moment. Any news on next public playtest? My brother and I had a blast during in last August. Glad to hear that you guys, well, first of all, played together and that you had fun. No clue yet on when it's going to be, but we absolutely want to get at least one before the end of the year. But we've been doing, Ali just did a huge abilities refactor, and there's some other stuff that's a bit wonky, so it won't be anytime in like the near future. Slippery Jen, thank you for the follow. One of the things that like has warmed my heart the most with the playtest is the number of people that have mentioned playing with playing with like their family, you know, significant others, parents, kids. That's pretty nice. Let me loop this. Cool. And not just because it's extra people, but also because it's really cool to know that people are playing together. People that like each other or love each other playing our game together is pretty cool. I feel like I missed BG834. Are you still typing it up? Or oh, there it is. Cool. We definitely understand your hunger to play. Guys, you got to understand, we love it when you play the game. It's really fun for us to see it. We enjoy it. BG said, one of the things I've been concerned about is stat allocation on items. Early EQ had a lot of gear choice, items with specific stats that made you sacrifice one thing or another. Later on in EQ, starting in Velius and WoW, after the first few dungeons, items began all being the same. They gave plus to all stats, saves, all resist, 0 weight. Kind of got rid of gear choice, and I always thought that was really boring and took away from freedom of choice. What measures are Eminem taking to avoid this? I think one of the things that we are looking at, but I will speak in sort of as the man standing next to the man kind of, because it's not something I'm doing directly. But it's stuff that Nick and Ollie and then Jason will be working on. And I do chime in a fair bit about like, hey, I've got thoughts on the progression curve and the amount of headroom that we allocate within the progression curve to make sure that we don't just sort of max out on everything too soon. So the thing that we're going to be doing, first and foremost, to try to avoid that is, remaining focused on the fact that it happened. And Simon just got into one of the main reasons why it happened. Like when EverQuest first came out, there was no anticipation of a expansion the game came out and then it was going to be over with, and then there would be a new EverQuest that people would play, right? And the idea was if people play it for a year, then the game is a big success, and then they would make another game because there wasn't a big history of MMOs lasting for X number of years and progressing in the way that we know MMOs to progress in. So if you haven't watched the VODs that I did, there's a lot of background on this in the various VODs of the interviews that I did with EQ designers and programmers and stuff, right? Like you can check out the interview with Kevin McPherson, who is the guy that developed Kunark. Like basically Kunark, I could have sworn Kunark was either one of Trost's D&D campaigns. It was I think McPherson. It was his D&D campaign that he just went here. Here is here's something that we could do, and then I think maybe Trost helped flesh it out, right? But the idea was like, okay, we're gonna put this out and then we're done. Oh shit, they're still around. They're not leaving. Then we put out Kunark. And then we put out Velius. And by we, I wasn't involved in either of those. I wasn't in the company until Velius was launching, right? And then after that, it's like, oh shit, there's even more. And so there was a lot of just like heavy stat inflation. There was no real plan to go over the next 5 years, over the next 3 years. We're going to have the stat and power progression curve work in the following manner. And then we're going to allocate X amount of headroom for anything that may happen after that. So I think the first measure to take is to acknowledge that it happened. The second measure is to try to plan a bit better and plan a bit longer term. And then also one of the things that we've talked about and today it feels like the way to go is also plan the game with finite growth. Because one of the other things I personally wouldn't want to see is I'd rather see us do TLPs and bring up new servers and have a finite lifespan a la P99 for like the bulk of the progression. That's not to say that there wouldn't be changes to the world or there'd be some amount of growth or addition or whatever. I'd rather have that personally than a game that over time's like got 200 levels and then people come into, if they come onto that server for the first time, it's like there's absolutely no fucking way they're ever catching up, or then you got to do level boosts and all this other stuff. It seems like creating a fairly solid plan for finite growth and then rebooting that, doing TLPs. I don't know. I think seeing both TLPs and the P99s in action, I think there's definitely something there that is a healthier formula. I liked the AA system in EQ, but a number of people can really quickly point out a lot of things they didn't like about it, and I can definitely agree with that. D-Love's Pudding, can you clarify? The way I read that is item swapping. So like if you proc an effect, then you can swap out to a different item while that effect's still on you. So basically like item juggling while maintaining effect. Yeah. So I think it's cool. I would be shocked if Nick was against that because he likes clickies and procs and shit in like that type of gameplay. I would be shocked if like to me that seems like an us kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like we're not that team that's like trying to force you to play the game our way so much. And I get the feeling that, you know, that's not to preclude us from having items where it's like you have to have this item equipped to get this effect. But like that idea of just discovering those little combinations or finding those moments to like click this, proc that, swap to this, backstab with that, swap out to something else, that type of stuff. It's like, that's fun, right? Because it feels like you're cheating. You know, it's kind of like a amount of like mechanical and game knowledge that allows you to be a bit better without it being just like a pure actual like mechanical skill. Everybody's got to like know this, hit this rotation perfectly to be able to play, right? It's just like it's an interesting little way to min-max. Yeah, exactly, Dargith. Hey, did I see Breck? What's up, Brex? I thought I saw you up there. How you doing, troll buddy? Zachary said, I think the patron vassal of Asheron's Call would be good for that. If there were... If their level was higher than 60. There may be like different sort of parallel systems that we can do a little bit of stuff like that with as well, though, right? Like there may be some prestige systems or religion, prestige layer within religion or whatever that allows something that's a bit more like the patron vassal setup, but that's a completely separate topic. BG says, I also remember something in the earlier interviews about random developers adding in items rather than it being the responsibility of one person. Thought that was really interesting. Also, there wasn't any cookie cutter formula like WoW's item level system. Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot as well. On one hand, we want to have understanding of the progression and have one or two individuals auditing, but on the other hand, we want to maintain this sort of quirky, weird, old school feel of things like itemization that was unintentional at the time, but there may be a way to do it more intentionally now. I'm glad to see you in here, Brex. As long as item swapping doesn't become like Final Fantasy 11, literally need add-on just to optimize gear swapping with those scripts. Yeah, so we're not gonna enable that. So it'll be something that like weirdos like D-Love's Pudding kind of geek out on at the higher levels in very specific sort of scenarios, as opposed to being a requirement for everybody to be able to play. I agree with not having cookie cutter formula for itemization. On the other hand, having in-game caster legs that gives AGI that's fucking worthless for them is dumb, Dargit said. Like the apothic kill for mages and Plane of Hate or whatever, worthless item. Yeah, I think you'll probably see a bit less of that. There was one of the interviews that I did in that series where I think it was maybe Hobart talked about how some of that was just kind of like, I can't remember if they said that happened because they thought stats were going to work differently over time, or if it was just like random ass allocation. Scruffy Bard asks, any update on the event system? What do you mean by event system? BG says, thanks for the feedback. I guess what I never liked about itemization was my old gear becoming completely useless when a new dungeon comes out. Well, in that case, a new expansion, right? Love having to decide to sacrifice stats for resist, AC for fungi, which gear is too heavy, carry around, etc. I mean, it's something we want to. At the end of the day, we may or may not get it right, but that's absolutely something that we want to do better, right? And so it's something we talk about, and it'll probably be something we talk about through early access, and as we're working towards 1.0, you know, we may have to rebalance some stuff or whatever, but it's definitely it's a desire, right? There's a lot of fun in having those different items and having items that feel maybe a little bit better situationally or whatever. So yeah, it's cool. When you asked the question earlier of like, you have concerns about foundational thing, I was like, I thought you meant there's some shit that we put out that you read and you were like, oh, I have real concerns with your game. So I'm glad that was the question. That's great. I am also not the absolute best person to have that conversation with over time. If you're not in our Discord, oops, that's the wrong Discord. If you're not in the M&M Discord, the second link, hop in there and, you know, just always keep an eye out for stuff that Nick's talking about. Ask him questions on this front as well. Like this is a topic that's more directly in his mind at the moment than mine, but it's something that Nick, Ollie, and I talk about a fair bit. Scruffy said, you mentioned you like Crackdown style events. Not sure if there's going to be that. Oh no, I think you're remembering. So the discussion of Crackdown was related to when I worked on DC Universe Online. We had built a system that was like a combination of elements of Crackdown along with Left 4 Dead's director system plus some content scaling, plus it all worked with our physics-based MMO gameplay, and we created a whole crazy system that we then patented, and because Sony was really into trying to patent everything at the time, and then, or I don't know if the patent ever went through, to be honest. We attempted to patent it, and I just referenced it being a fun system that ultimately was never used. Dargis said, my main concern is that it looks a lot like a worse EverQuest. I know. Do you think Co Carnage is going to have a sense of humor if we ever ask him about those comments? Do you think he'll laugh about it? Or do you think it'll be awkward? Robot, I finally realized that you meant Crackdown, not Cracktown, the obscure city builder. BG834 says, not at all. I'm just a classic EQ nerd. I sit around and think of design philosophies that exist back then and wonder if anybody else knows these things. Yeah, no. We think about this stuff as well. It's just there. I'm glad you guys bring it up regularly. I mean, when teams talk about open development, I think it's got to be more than just showing footage of the game or doing little demos or things like that. The interactions that, if you look at, with Joppa streaming now, he's talking with people in chat over on Pantheon, our discussions here in the streams, that type of back and forth, to me, that's super helpful, because you guys will come in and keep us honest and be like, BG, you'll be in here 6 months from now going, hey, what about the, item progression or whatever, blah, blah. Oh shit. Yeah, we totally forgot about that, actually. All of our items are wacky. We'll have to fix it. What are the halflings researching? Nicodemus will help you find that out maybe by the next playtest. Defiant Possum, I don't agree. Believe it or not, Jop and I were discussing him streaming for almost as long as I've been streaming. We talked about it years ago. It's just he's finally, I don't want to speak for him or for his company, but things finally got to a place where he was able to do it, right? But it was something that he'd been wanting to do for years, and it's something that we talked about. I'm trying to remember if our project was even underway at the time. I'm trying to remember when I first met him and was talking to him. Yeah, so it was under NDA, and it was stuff like that I think he was having to navigate even internally, right? So, yeah, I think it's easy to be like, oh yeah, you were doing it first, but it's not like that. Yeah, it wasn't predicated on us doing it and it being successful at all. As far as I could tell, I don't know that was or wasn't a decision within his company, but for him, I know that's not the case. 100%. I know that for him, it was once he was able to do it. And some of it may have just been having the time available as well, or the game being in a particular place where the company was happy having him do it or whatever. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say that it's something he's wanted to do for as long as I've known him, I think. And that's, yeah, if they introduce bathhouses and start to try to lure D-Love's Pudding into the bathhouses over there, then we can call them out. Then we'll be like, all right, Pantheon, why are you trying to steal our Riz or whatever, as the kids would say. So no bathhouses, Joppa, if you're out there. Yeah, so Gulam says all the negative sentiment towards Pantheon makes me sad. I'm extremely excited to play, even if there are bumps along the way for the dev team. Yeah, I will say I mentioned it in Discord, but I want to thank you guys during the Evercraft session that I was on. It was interesting. It was interesting to some degree. I think, getting a taste of the medicine. It's not like I'm not used to it because I've been making MMOs for decades now. But it was kind of interesting being in someone else's game and then hearing people like commenting about our game, and I was like, oh man, I'm glad. Actually, how do I want to say this? This isn't because I don't want to say it in a way where it sounds like I'm talking about either Pantheon or Evercraft's communities. I'm not. I honestly, I'm just not aware of them enough to comment on them. I just don't have the time to be in other Discords and stuff. but the thing that I see is like, I'm glad that we're, for the most part, a pretty chill community. And I'm glad that we're in a position where we feel comfortable when people are like shitting on other games, just telling our community like, you know what? It doesn't help. It doesn't, it's like, stop. Don't need it. It's boring. It's, a lot of times it's boring. If there's a new thread like bagging on either, Pantheon or any other game, it's just kind of like, now every once in a while there's some like announcement will come out, and I'm not trying to shit on any team or their efforts or whatever. When I call out something like, it's $150 to play in a pre-alpha or whatever, it's just, for me, it's like, that's not something I'm into, and I just find it a little like off-putting for us. But again, we're not paying other teams' bills. We don't know their situation. We don't know what's working for them or not. It's just easy enough for us to be like, yeah, that's not us. So, anyways, Georgie, is it Georgie, Kentucky, or is it Georgie KY, or how do I say your name? Thank you for the follow. Excited to support Pantheon playtest on Friday with new races. Yeah. I mean, I'm watching their upcoming early access with a lot of interest. We are extremely fortunate on the timing there, just to see what we can learn, right? Because December gives us essentially a year before we have our early access planned at the moment, right? Because we're talking about January 2026. So there's a lot of like, getting to watch them and see what's working, what's not working, what's it tell us about our schedule, what do we want to do. Rising tide lifts all boats. Just to wrap up the Joppa thing earlier, I will say one thing. When it comes to communication and streaming and communication, I don't watch enough of Joppa's stuff, to be honest, but I've seen enough of Joppa's stuff over the years, interviews and stuff, and I've talked to him enough times behind the scenes, that I will say that he is extremely articulate. He's so good at explaining his thoughts on stuff. Like, he really, really is. I'm not just saying that. He is great at communicating. And it's one of those things that I'm like, I would love to be that good at communicating what's in my head. It just doesn't happen, man. I don't know. I think it's just too many years of too much like partying and poor lifestyle choices. My brain, I'll never be that articulate. So if you're here looking for that, I'm sorry. It's just not. I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, man, I wish I was a better articulator of thoughts for the team. So give him all the kudos in the world for that shit. I am envious. Indo says, I did note some of that in Eco. I was telling someone the community felt less mature on different levels, not necessarily even for the global chat. Felt like regular MMO etiquette was less fun. But it could be that they're getting in new people, which is actually, that's good for the indie scene, right? I have seen some wacky stuff in our OOC, but I will say that for the most part, there's a lot of like helping each other out and typically being cool. But I mean, every global, every OOC is going to have some random assholes during these playtests. It's just nice to see that the majority of the community is cool, and honestly, a lot of times just reins those guys in. So there was, I will admit, I was a bit of a renegade during the Evercraft playtest as well in global. Someone in global said that that Eminem was dog shit, and I said that their mom was dog shit. So I admit it. I did it. Yeah, that poor guy's mom. See, you even knew what I was gonna say. So I apologize. I was just kidding. I don't know his mom. It was it was a sick burn. OMG, oh shit, hidden trees in here. I just got banned on stream. That was because I thought it was funny. He was like, and I don't even know, did he say shit? He may have even said poop. And then I just said whatever he said back. I was like, your mom's dog poop. What's up, Hidden Tree? Yeah. Hidden Tree, can you answer? Do you feel like you guys are reaching a number of folks like beyond beyond sort of like the this will sound bad or whatever, but kind of like the standard crowd, like the EQ, P99, hardcores, a lot of, I mean, you guys, right? I don't think I'm saying anything out of turn in describing you guys as a lot of EQ folks. So I know we've got like Final Fantasy 11 folks and EQA folks and stuff like that, but Hintry said that was a crappy part of having two servers. Couldn't keep up on all the global drama. Did I just rat myself out for no reason? Hard to say. I think we're at a stage where we might not have a global chat next test. It was cool when we had 200 people on. Yeah, it gets kind of big, right? But I mean, it's just gonna but do you think it's hard to say if you're reaching sort of beyond the let's see. Let's scroll back up, see if I missed anything. Yeah, Unchained, there's value in telling the truth about your experience or whatever. And that doesn't necessarily equate to, shitting on a thing, but I do feel like there's even if it's telling the truth, once it starts to become like a theme in a discussion or whatever, and everybody's all of a sudden like, oh, everybody's got to share their truths all of a sudden, then it can be a little bit like, all right, let's just switch topics. It's not that what people are saying are necessarily wrong about a game or that they shouldn't be able to express those opinions, but sometimes it gets a little like, all right. And it's a weird one, right? Like it's a small community and there's a lot of respect for everybody that's making the effort to build these games. Because we all know how much goes into them. And so it's a weird thing because on one hand, it is actually interesting to hear people's thoughts on what they do or don't like on other games, not just ours. But again, it's interesting to try to manage that so it doesn't turn into like a dog pile. And then it kind of feels like I don't want to ever, have people working on other games, unless they're just doing something wacky, feel like we're encouraging that type of thing. Like, Hintry says, we get a lot of comments that say, hey, I've never played EQ before, or anything like it, which is super amazing. So in that way, we're getting people outside the EQ bubble. I would guess people misbehaving. are EQ MMO vets. Well, the consensus that I saw was that they thought the misbehavior was kind of innocent, not understanding the etiquette type behavior, if that makes sense. And so then that led to the formulation of the thought that like, hey, was that, and it was, it was stuff where I'm like, I don't know, I think regular MMO people, do that as well, or EQ people do that as well. It's like, saw a few comments about people like hopping into a group, sort of like just spamming group invites, hopping in, hopping out without letting anybody know, and then joining the group next to it, and kill stealing, and a lot of stuff where I'm like, we've seen some of that in our playtests as well. And if I had to guess, they were people that either weren't like EQ folks or whatever, or were just people that knew the etiquette and didn't give a shit, which is possible. So, but the fact that you guys are reaching more people outside of like the core EverQuest crowd is fantastic. If just keep building up that like new crowd of people in your Discord, and at some point I'll finally like I'll have to come over wearing my trench coat and expose them to Eminem. Crescent's asked, Robot, do you feel like Eminem is reaching beyond the core audience yet? Yeah, I would say, it's not a huge number, but I've been really pleased with the number of people that either haven't played a classic MMO before, are from like Final Fantasy 11, are from EQOA. So it's reaching a bit, but I would still say like the bulk of our folks are like EQ, P99 type folks. Hidden Tree said messing with enchanters is a surefire way to get people to call you your game crap. Yeah. Yep. You don't even have to mess with them. You could just have certain functionality missing or not working correctly at the time. Enchanters are a touchy subject. Hopefully you saw there are a lot of positive comments about the playtest. People were overwhelmingly positive, and in our Discord, and seeing people even during the playtest weekend, and since then it's been great. Scruffy said Evercraft had over 1,000 concurrent players. Really impressive. Absolutely impressive. If you've got a lot of extra time on your hands and you want some background sound, have at it. But I would say, I wish Nick was streaming instead of me during that. You would have seen some good gameplay and stuff. I just honestly, I wandered around like an idiot and just was clicking on stuff. And my stream, the high points of my stream were like discovering I could harvest sap, picking cotton, discovering that I could actually harvest the mushrooms on the side of the tree, dying, immediately going to my spawn point, but seeing that I had all my gear, but then not having my pickaxe because I thought I had all my gear, because my dumbass didn't realize that I was leaving the pickaxe on my corpse. And I was just like, so then there was the mystery of my pickaxe. I was like, oh, I think this is broken. Like, I think my pickaxe poofed. And then going to get another pickaxe. That's the level of like sophistication of gameplay on the stream. So you didn't miss anything from my end. Hindo said, Hintry, if there's one thing I'd ask for Discord, add more channels and sections clear up general, so a dedicated section of Discord of different topics. Hintry said, I think it's most likely it's a symptom of people who come into Eco Discord to see how great it is, while people go to other games Discord to see how bad it is. So who knows? I've been overwhelmed with positivity from tests. No, our Discord has basically been overwhelmingly positive as well. So it's not like people are coming over here to shit talk and then going over there to. I mean, especially with you guys, if like weird cattiness or like shit talk comes up in our Discord, we try to smack it down pretty quickly. Yeah, we're Jergor36 I really appreciate the link to Eco from your Discord. Didn't know about it before that. Now I have 2 games to be hyped about. Absolutely going to play both. Yeah, I mean, again, unless Hidden Tree, I don't know, decides he doesn't want to be our friend anymore or something at some point, we'll absolutely keep hyping the project. And the thing, there's no reason not to. You know what I mean? Like with a lot of this stuff, I will say, especially as this year has progressed even more so, maybe a year and a half ago, I look at some different projects and be like, I think there's a lot of overlap between the 3 of our projects. If I'm looking at like, you know, Pantheon and Evercraft and us or whatever. Through the course of this year, each of the games it's got its own identity, and it's really going to come down to, do you want to play that game or this game or this game or some combination of those 3 and then any other thing that comes out. They're their own games, and you know, when we're all live and we've all got, you know, our business model up and running, if we're all sub-based or whatever, at some point, if you're like, I've only got X enough, you know, I've only got enough money for whatever, cool. But I understand that, but there's definitely no personal animosity between the projects, so. Schmidrini said, I was really impressed with Ochre City. Oscar looked really awesome. So playtest before last, I was able to get in there. And that's just a fun city, man. There's so much character. There's so much character in the environments. There's so much character with, you know, even with like being voxel based, there's the textures and just the design and stuff give them so much, just such a good feel that, yeah, it's really fun to get in and look around and discover stuff. And like, Hintry just said, Eco's ruined for me, so putting all my bets on Eminem. Yeah, it is. Isn't it nice to have a game that you're not looking behind the curtain all day to be able to look forward to? I think that's one of the things too that we really like about being able to come in and play your game. My thing is, I've got to admit, I'm doing a really shitty job at time management, and it's hard for me to spend a lot of time in other games at the moment. So I'm happy if I get a couple hours in. Between real life and then this stuff, and then Like, you guys are looking at 2026 early access. Like, oh my God, it's, we got to wait a year. I'm looking at like, shit. We're talking about early access in a year. Shave off 3 months for this. That means core developments. Now we're looking at 11 months, right? Because it's already coming up on November. Then we want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And then you put all of that stuff in a nice big spreadsheet and you're looking at all the shit that needs to get done. And yeah, it goes fast. And I think just because I've been on enough of these processes where it's like, I know just how fast it goes. I'm at the point now where I'm buckled down for 2026. Launch freak out has already begun. That's not a freak out, but it is just an awareness. No, I know you're not. It's nothing negative. But I just want to reassure you guys. Like, you don't want to be on a plane with a pilot that's like losing their shit, right? So Unchained Ass Hidden Tree, who I'm not sure if he's still out there, but who mainly wrote the quest dialogues. I really enjoyed the experience as it didn't feel like fetch quest. I think it was the depth of the dialogue, witty sense of humor, that kept me engaged in the storytelling. If he's still out there. Mix of people, I'll let you know if you let me know the quest though, I'll get the inside scoop for you. Do you have a link to your Discord? I have this link, but I don't have a link to your Discord. But I guess folks can find the Discord from the website, so that works. No Matrix, thank you for the follow. Oh. And I'll take a look probably tomorrow. Okay, I saw your DM there. Friendly competition is fantastic. These games are going to make each other better while watching all the games progress. Safety first, please. Yeah, and it's nice to see what's working in other games or what's been adding in other games. And, if you like it and it's working, then rip it off. Especially if it's something that's kind of like, hey, we've had this on our roadmap, or we've had a discussion about this and they're already doing it over here. Let's just see how they're doing. A lot of the comments about Eco's crafting kind of perked my attention earlier. So, inspired by, not rip off. Yeah, I don't know if it matters legally. We'll ask Simon. Snow Matrix, cool. And I'll fully read your DM in a bit. But I got the general gist of it per scan. I know about that one. So no worries, totally understandable. All right, guys, it's 10:30. I started a bit early, so it's a little over a 3-hour stream. A lot of just talking. I want to do some more brainstorm streams coming up, so Think about topics you guys would like to brainstorm. I've still got a list, and maybe we'll revise some of the old ones. Want to do some brainstorm streams when Nick is got his real life stuff kind of mellowed out. Then I want to get him back on for some conversations about class and abilities, and then I want to do some more play tests with the team, so you can see some gameplay in action. And then beyond that, we'll see. I say that because a lot of what I would want to be like, what I need to do work wise, I can't show you. So that's why I'm just kind of sitting here on a bench with some halflings. There's a lot of shit that's going on right now. It's just stuff that in theory could show you, but it would ruin some surprises. And then other stuff is just like paperwork, documentation, getting new zones spun up, stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah, all right, guys. I'm gonna cash out for tonight. And I will occasionally use these streams to reiterate and kind of remind the team of like, essentially, we've got less than a year to get ready for EA. Let's focus on some different things. Blah blah blah. But I mean, the team knows it. All right, you shoes. See you. Definitely watch the VOD. You can watch it here on Twitch, but it'll be on YouTube in a week or two. In a week, I think. See you Unchained, BG834. Good to see you in here. Definitely come back, yeah, with some more questions. Loved it. Dragon, see you, buddy. Thanks for the 10 node reminder. Brian, thanks for letting us show the forest a little bit tonight. See you, Hidden Tree. Thanks again for a fun play test. Later, White Bandit, aka Lich, Crescents, Scruffy Bard. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. See you, John, Bill, Hindo. Don't worry about it, you shoes. You spell it however you want. Slippery Gin, thanks again for the follow. Schmidrini, good night. Yeah, I'll see all you guys on Friday. Good point. I'll see you guys on Friday. Defiant Possum, thanks for all the good questions. Chinny D, see you in Slack, buddy. Talet, you're very welcome. Thanks for being here. Thyro, Justin Beard, Fuller, Jerigor36. Hey, thanks everybody for keeping it chill. I have very little to do with that. D-Loves Pudding. See you, buddy. Fuller EQ. I think I already said that. Maybe not. Either way, see you, Fuller EQs. Checks. Zukin. Yeah, I'll be here, Justin Beard. I'll be here on Friday. Moscow. All right, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day in those North American time zones. Stay safe out there. Be safe on the way home from work. If you're commuting after this, and I will see you guys. See you on Friday. Dark Inside. Take care, buddy. All the best to you and your family. Hello and goodbye, battery peeler. All right, I'm gonna push the button now. See you guys in 2 days. Where is the button? I lost the button. All right, I lied. Oh, there it is. All right, see you guys.